Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here. It is the Earthmaster on this Monday night, January 29th, 2024. It's about 10:43 p.m. here, California time. Latest activity, it looks like some movement up into the Alaska area. They did have a four-pointer just coming into the Anchorage area a short time ago. Looks like a 2.7 further up north, but goodness, seen a few folks reporting this earthquake around the Anchorage area. About 9 kilometers deep. Not a big one, but very close to the populated area of Anchorage. Looks like quite a few folks reported feeling that. All right, so definitely seeing some uptick in earthquake activity, specifically up there. Alaska's been having some swarms up here as well, outside the Anchor or Aurora Lodge. Going to say Anchor Lodge, but the Aurora Lodge, still seeing that activity here. There was a 5.3 a few days back now. I think it's been over a week, but there's still consistent earthquake activity in that region. Also, that newer activity there north of Fairbanks. So just keep an eye here on the area of Alaska. Definitely seeing some interesting movement up there. Also, another hot spot of activity is the Kilauea Volcano. This thing is just rocking and rolling with earthquakes here. This is the last 24 hours showing 62. I'm pretty positive there's been more than 62. We'll take a look at the seismos in a second. But I want to go back here last 7 days and bring a little tally up here. Almost 200 earthquakes here around the Kilauea Volcano area. 180. That's probably a minimal amount. I don't think they're counting every single earthquake, but either way, that's a lot of activity. It is stretching up, leading up towards the Lava Lake area of the Kilauea Summit region. I'm kind of curious. I'm thinking that this thing will probably see some eruptive fissure activity here soon in that area. The update that was put out this morning from the USGS basically stated that the volcano is currently not erupting. And they chatted about the seismicity, how it has been elevated there around the South Caldera region of the volcano. And it's coming on strong. It's still continuing to show earthquake activity there across the Kilauea volcano. Yellowstone looks like they may be having some activity as well. I'll check that out in just a second. But let's go over here to the Kilauea volcano and see what we got for some data. Now, the tilt here has been acting a little strange compared to the past couple months of tilt. We've actually, looks like we're not back into that cycle. Each cycle here before, months back, followed a similar trend. We would see a few days of inflation followed up by at least 2 or 3 days of leveling or deflation. You can see that there. If we could go back last 90 days, you would see each step here. It's kind of like a stair-stepping ladder. And this is our last one there about on the 22nd, 23rd of this month. And I was expecting that to go back up, but we're noticing a little trend here now. Now we're going down. That could mean that there's definitely some magma moving around. Obviously, we know it is. It's repressurizing the area down there. But it could be moving underneath the region there, affecting these tilt meters specifically in this area. A lot of earthquake activity stirring up here, and if you look at some of the depth of these earthquakes, majority are very shallow. There's that 3.4 coming in just about a mile below the surface there. So I think this is going to kick up here very soon. I don't know how much longer it can hold on, but definitely going to be seeing some activity here soon, I believe. So 61, and we have seen, looks like a lot of these magnitudes here getting adjusted a little bit. Within the last couple hours, though, we did see a couple threes, 3.4 and a 3.3. So these magnitudes here may be getting a little bit larger. And like I say, I don't think we're getting any activity currently as far as eruptive activity, but I just want to double check that here and see across the area, the summit region. Of course, it's dark over there. There's the this is an infrared image, but that's from the a few days ago. Obviously, I think if there was some fissure activity, we would see it. Just not yet. It's holding on. It's definitely holding on there. And like I say, this could happen any minute in terms of eruptive fissure activity in the area of Kilauea Volcano. Definitely keep an eye on it. Also, some movement looks like coming in right now around the Colorado area, Segundo, Colorado, outside of Trinidad. Now, I think if I remember right, there's some oil fields out here. You can kind of see it, right? It's not until you zoom into these little checkered boxes out here that these are definitely some type of either fracking or oil pumping operations out there. You can kind of see some of the tanks out there, and it's all about this land here. There's quite a bit of these little areas. At first I kind of thought they were like campground sites, but I don't think they're campground sites, and it really doesn't show too much here on the map here in terms of whether this is oil field operation or not. But occasionally we do see earthquakes out here, and pretty certain that's what those are out there in the outside the Trinidad area of Colorado. All right, let's go check Yellowstone here real quick, because we have been seeing a little bit of earthquake activity there across the seismographs, and let's see what we got here. There's a little bit. I can kind of see it over here on Old Faithful and also Grant Village. That's going to be this specific earthquake activity right there. That is showing up pretty nicely there on the Old Faithful station and also Mary Lake. The Borehole station, I'm a little uncertain on if this is earthquake activity or not, but some of the legit earthquake activity showing up here in the background of all this noise. I don't know if those are ice quakes or what they are, but sometimes the environment up there, it will pick up a lot of the noise, so to speak. But definitely seeing a little bit of earthquake activity showing up there on Moose Creek, Idaho station as well. USGS not reporting any of it yet. Monday morning, or it is Monday morning was this morning. Tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, they should get in and hopefully update some of those quakes there that we're seeing. Off the west coast here, did have a earthquake off the coast of Oregon, 4-pointer, out in the Blanco fracture zone, a little area out here in the Pacific. Now it looks like it's on. Yeah, it's just off of the Blanco fracture zone here. Doesn't look like we've seen any further adjustment downstream where we could, expect to see some migrational pressure. We do have one little earthquake in the Northern California area, but this was this morning for that 2.1, 19 kilometers deep. I want to check out the tremor map here real quick and see what's going on. Only about 87 earthquakes here into the Seattle area. Something I forgot to check here on the Hawaii stations. I was chatting about that. There's almost 200 earthquakes or so in the last week. I want to show you guys these seismograph stations out here, and we're just going to look at today's and see what that looks like. Most of the time when we're having earthquake swarming activity anywhere, I like to go and double check the official graphs out here. So here's the past 12 hours. That's still a lot of earthquake activity. And I can easily probably guess that there's maybe 100 or more earthquakes on this map in the last 12 hours. If we were to go the last 24 or so, obviously, you can see quite a bit more as well. Some of those little quakes there, they're definitely small, but they're earthquakes nonetheless. And let's see what the USGS put out here for a number. They're showing about 67 here in the last 24 hours, so you could probably double that number or so, maybe even triple that in terms of earthquake activity in the last 24 hours. But we're just kind of watching that, seeing how that plays out. I'm sure it's just a matter of time. Let's see what else we got here for the West Coast. California, Southern California, one little earthquake out in the Banning area, just off the San Andreas Fault. No major swarming, no major unusual activity there across the southern portion of the state for now. Did have a little two-pointer out there in the Seal Beach area. Yeah, but other than that, looks like some typical movement out there. Not a whole lot going on for the rest of the country. As far as activity across the Puerto Rico Trench, has been a little hot spot of activity here recently. The latest one does show a 4.6 here in that decent clustering of earthquake activity out here. This region can see some decent quakes. The majority of these, let's see how deep those were, roughly 20, 30, 40 kilometers or so. This most recent one, fairly shallow. So getting some adjustment going on here across the Puerto Rico Trench area that I think needs watching. Down here across the South America area, most of this activity here from, go back here to the newest map. Yeah, all these are from today, 4 of them. I think there's a little bit more. Let's see what we got in the Earthquake 3D globe here. Looks like some 2s and 3s in there as well. Let's see here. Whoa, what's going on down south of New Zealand here? Quite a bit of activity. 4-pointer Kermadec Trench, 3.8 South Island, and now we got a 4.9. Much further along the plate boundary, so it looks like things are starting to move down there across the New Zealand area. And let's see what we have for the latest information here. There's New Zealand quakes. Let's go check out GeoNet servers tonight. See what's going on. 2.8 there about 10 hours ago. There's a 4-pointer up along the Kermadec Trench. Definitely, there's a 3.8 South Island area. I believe that's just right on the plate boundary. That was about 3 hours or so ago for the New Zealand area. And a whole bunch of smaller quakes out there. And let's see, is some of their data missing? Looks a little odd, but either way, there's some of that earthquake activity from last night. Those are 24 hours old. Some of the data here looks like it's missing. Not for sure why, but looks a little odd. Either way, earthquake activity is showing up there on the map. On the well, at least on the Earthquake 3D globe here it is. So keep an eye on New Zealand. A lot of movement going on here north and south of it along the plate boundaries. And of course that kind of puts New Zealand right in the middle section of these quakes. Definitely keep an eye on the area. Java Trench region, handful of smaller quakes. And well, looks like China is still seeing a lot of earthquake activity up here with a bunch of 4s. But remember they did have that larger quake out here a few days back now. Looks like a fairly decent aftershock, 5.7, and quite a few 4s out there today. The rest of the world here, not a whole lot going on in the Atlantic Ocean, but the Pacific Plate, I think, is definitely under some strain out here. A lot of times when we see Hawaii start to really stir up out here, then it means that things may be getting ready to kick off here in a big fashion, so to speak, in terms of larger scale movement. So just have to keep an eye on certain areas out here. Pretty quiet out here across Fiji and the Tonga region for now, but I'm sure that will fill in here eventually. The Atlantic Ocean, like I said, is pretty quiet. I do want to give a quick glance there at the Iceland activity. And last 12 hours, not a whole lot here. Only about 20 earthquakes scattered up and about across the rift zones. Not a whole lot here across Grindavik. Got one little earthquake way south here, but aside from that, not a whole lot of earthquake activity. But I am kind of curious to see what we got for the inflation activity there across the Savart Singi area. Taking a little bit of a downturn here. See a couple of those runs, those dots there kind of pointing south, or down, I should say, on the chart, indicating some deflation. The 8-hour runtime series here across the area of Grindavik. Yeah, it's going to be this one right here. Looks like we're missing some data there a little bit. I'm really not seeing anything major in terms of any large uptick, but still kind of watching that. Still got the possibility of seeing things ramp up there across the area of Grindavik. Yeah, look at this. Alaska just definitely moving up here. All right, let's see what else we got for space weather activity real quick. I'm a little tired, so. Oh, we still got the goodness. We still got the proton event here in full swing. It looks like, mainly affecting the solar polar regions there, and that really doesn't have too much effect on the rest of the world here. It just affects these navigation systems. If somebody's up there using certain electronic devices there, then it could have a negative effect on that, or blackout, radio blackout. Far as any major solar flaring goes, well, let's check out these sunspots, see if anything's noteworthy here of any value. I mean, goodness. Take your pick. Which boring sunspot number looks, or boring sunspot out here looks like it could pop off a flare. It's hard to say. I'm really not seeing any promising events out here. Looks like they did circle a little region here. Let me go back here on that. There's a little newer region starting to form. But it doesn't look all that impressive yet. We'll have to keep an eye on that, see if it grows any more overnight. But maybe one sunspot out here on the northeastern limb we'll keep an eye on as well. But there's not a huge threat here, folks, as we head into kind of a quiet time right now. Far as the flare threat goes, 95% chance for a C flare, M flare at 40, X flare around 5% chance or so, and that proton event continuing to create these these radiation storms. Proton levels streaming past Earth following a strong solar flare early Monday morning continued to gradually increase. An updated CME tracking model, courtesy of NOAA, is calling for mostly a miss upstream. Despite this model, a glancing blow may still be available, may be possible here in the cards within the next 48 hours. So we'll just have to check that. Here's one of the images here. It shows pretty much a miss. I don't think we're going to really see anything from that at all. But you never know, right? These forecasts can definitely be wrong. So we'll take a look at that activity right about there. Beautiful CME, but we're not in the view at all. So I don't really expect anything from that CME. All right, what else we got here, folks? Some big-time storms coming out here to California. Not a whole lot of severe weather threat, but we do have some rain coming up. Our next storm system comes in, well, Wednesday here, it looks like, with some decent precipitation amounts here along the coastline. I'm hoping some of that will slide on down into the valley, bring us some decent rainfall, but California in general is going to get a nice soaking out there. And then another decent low-pressure system. This is looking potentially a little bit more stronger than the first one. This is pretty much a bomb cyclone, so to speak, a deepening area of low pressure, right as it makes a landfall here into the California area. That's decent. You got some heavy precipitation accumulation rates. These lines here being close together, indicating some strong pressure out here. A lot of wind going to be kicking up as well once this storm moves in. So I got my eye on that second one right there. It looks fairly promising. And then after that, we'll just have to see what happens. Maybe a little dry spell. Hopefully not too much, but and that's a GFS model. Let's check out the ECM WF model here. This is let's see where we're at here. This is our one coming in on Wednesday, right? It's not even all that loaded here, so it's kind of just taking its time. But either way, I think we got some decent rain coming up here for California. The total accumulated precipitation runs here shows most of the rainfall, I think, from that second storm right here across the west coast. Decent. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good night. Keep an eye on things. Hawaii and Alaska up there definitely showing some elevated movement. We'll catch you guys back here in the morning after hopefully some sleep. Sometimes I just lay there and my mind just never stops. It just stays on. I don't know if anybody else has these issues, with sleeping. I'm sure they do. But, it just, last night I could not get any sleep at all. A lot of stuff going on with school, trying to rack my brain with everything I'm studying, and just got to get some sleep, I suppose. All right. I'm out of here. Have yourself a good night, everyone. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow, Tuesday.